This video is designed to give you a very quick, very brief introduction to how the ASP.NET framework uses object-oriented programming, OOP technologies, to implement its functional elements. One of the main things with ASP.NET is a web page. So what we're looking at here is a very simple web page created from scratch. Notice that there's basically not a whole lot to this at this point. If I go to the source view, it has the simple elements of an HTML page with a few extras rolled in to deal with the code behind page. This is where all the excitement is right now for the purposes of our exploration of OOP technology. The basic page, as we'll see here in a moment, is laden with object-oriented programming capabilities. Notice that I have a class OOP Demo 1, which is my page, and it inherits all its functionality from the system web UI page, which gives us our interface capabilities for that particular page. The very standard way that an ASP.NET page is dealt with is whenever it is loaded, in other words sent to the browser, a default method page load is called. And again, notice I haven't defined anything specifically for the OOP Demo 1, but I have already this functionality. And that is, again, inherited from the page object that's built into the .NET framework. Now, if I were to take this page and say I wanted to do something with it, I can simply do a this, and notice immediately pops up all the different methods and properties for this page. So I can then go and change things as I desire as I scroll down this list of properties and methods. Okay, so let's put this aside for the moment and go back to our web page. And I'm going to go ahead and add a control in here, a very common control in the world of the web, and that's a button. And this is just going to cause a default action to occur. So I'm going to double click button after going onto the page. And notice now I have this ID button 1 with run at server and text. Now, if I go back to my source code, the actual programming code that's handling this, and in my page load function, I'm going to check a commonly used function called isPostBack. That's a default of our web page. And notice I put an exclamation mark in front of that, so that's equivalent to saying if not isPostBack, then do this. In other words, if it's the first time loading this page, I'm going to do something. And what we're going to do is explore the button's capabilities in terms of what we can do to it, in terms of setting the text, setting other parameters for this object. So I'm going to go ahead and enter button 1 dot, and then I'm going to set the text from here rather than in the control. So there I've set the property text button. Now, there's another way to look at this, and that's by opening the Properties panel. But to do that, I have to be looking at the actual button. So I'm going to select the button, select Properties, and now I can do things like set the background color. Actually, let's use this drop down. It'll allow us to pick it graphically. So I'm going to choose sort of a medium dark blue. And let's go darker than that. Of course, that means I need to change my text color, my font color, because I've set that to such a dark color. Let's go ahead and set that to white. Okay. And notice in my objects text in the actual code, it's actually showing that. Now, if I go to Design View, I can see that. And notice I'm going to go ahead and change the size of that too. So there's what my button looks like. At this point, it really doesn't show us much. So I'm going to go ahead and save everything. And I'm going to go ahead and go over here to my page, and I'm going to do a view in browser. Oops, I was off a little bit there. View in browser. So what it's going to do now is it's going to compile my code, make sure everything is working right. And notice now the button label, the text in it says the button rather than just button. That's because, again, on page load, it goes through and sets that property. So let me close this. So that concludes this brief demonstration. Again, we've looked at how our basic page inherits its properties and methods from the system level framework page object. We've looked at a default method within that object. We've looked at how to set properties of our objects through startup code. And we've also looked at setting values for the objects in our web page. Again, this is just a brief demonstration of how object-oriented programming is a basic part of the ASP.NET framework. This has been Mike Shore from the Web Technologies Department.